We'll call our meeting to order, the council, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll open with a moment of silence to pray or if you wish. Please especially remember our veterans this week, and all year long, but those who gave their lives so that we can be here making decisions tonight. Thank you. We begin our meeting acknowledging that we're on the ancestral lands of the Big Monkey people. Thank them today as their ancestors for sharing this wonderful part of the earth with our ancestors, whether they came 400 years ago or 4 years ago. We are all treaty people. Because it's Remembrance Day week, Remembrance Day being Friday, served with reciting the poem in Flanders Fields. In Flanders Fields, bobbies flow between the crosses, row and row, that mark our place. The larks still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amidst the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago we lived. Felt dawn, saw sunset glow, love and murder. Now we lie, Flanders Field. Dig up our quarrel with the foe. To you, from failing hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep. For poppies grow, Flanders Fields. John McCrae. And on the same subject of Remembrance Week, I want to say that I wanted to mention one veteran in particular, attended the funeral today for Sir Fraser Boyles, uncle of our councillor Peter Boyles. And he served when he was 19 years old. He joined the army and served in England, Scotland, France, Netherlands, Germany, and probably some others. But and he was there on D-Day. And so after 97 years, he left us today on his journey home. But it just goes to show, you know, those people who served so well over there. We remember certainly those who didn't get to come back. Those that come back, so many do so much for our society after having seen terrible things. They go on to live a very long and full life, like Sir Fraser Boyles did. And it's not often that I go to a funeral for anybody that's got Sir in front of their names. He was knighted, not by England, like most people would assume were knighted by France, because of helping to free that country from the enemy. You know, I just thought it was quite fitting, the story behind Sir Fraser Boyles and us in Remembrance Week this week. So I wanted to mention that and bring some of these to Councillor Boyles and his family. Okay, now some other business here. We need an approval of the agenda. I'm going to ask to add a presentation, a recognition presentation, perhaps right after we do the minutes before we start with the presentation from the River John Pickleball Society. So with that one addition to the agenda, are there any other additions to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, do we have a motion to approve that agenda?
So moved, Peter.
Moved and seconded, Peter and Mary. Okay, so that looks after that. Now we then have, are there any errors or omissions, or corrections, from, the minutes? I believe we did 2 sets of minutes. Yeah. Okay. September the 6th and October the 5th. We got messed up some, of course, because you know, messed up more than that. But, that's why we have 2 sets there tonight. Would somebody like to, approve, or no, we don't need a motion to approve this anymore. We're just looking for errors, omissions, or corrections. So do we have any for either one of those meetings? Okay, seeing none, we'll go right on. Don't need a motion. And so I put on that I wanted to do this presentation, so 8 out of 12, which was a really good turnout, I thought. You know, I know some of you had to work and couldn't be there, but they have 8 out of 12 counselors at the NSFN meetings in Halifax last week. I think we had a better percentage than anybody else in Victor County, any other council. So, at those meetings, they do present plaques, depending on your length of time on council. And so I have the plaque to present to Councilor Turner tonight. There is a recognition. Or what is that? 100 years? No.
I feel like it.
The 1-0 out. So would you want to come forward? Maybe we get a picture or do this at the center. So then.
I don't know, shoot. I didn't even shake.
Oh, well,
November break is already.
yeah, it's like a November on too. Yeah, Brian should be here too. Come on down, Mr. CAO.
You need us?
I'm right, that's a good question for principal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I don't get to our gifts. So tonight, we have with us, 4 or 5. Okay, I want to know who was with us. We have 5 people with us from the River John Pickleball Society. Who will give us a presentation on what their aims and goals are and how they're getting along. I don't know who wants to come to the mic there first, please.
I will come first.
Okay, I'll let you introduce, I did get your names down there, but they just went to swim it on first. I'll let you introduce the people with you.
Okay, Brian, could I hook up my laptop? These paper. Just have to see something. So, good evening. Thank you for giving us the time to present our project to you. My name is Wade Taylor. I'm the president of the River John Pickleball Club. This is John Carruthers, who is the treasurer of River John Pickleball Club. Margaret, who is vice president. Two of our partners at River John Legion. So we have Mike Topley, president of River John Legion, with us, and the Wyatt Pictou County. And so Tammy Goodwin is the CEO of Wyatt Pictou County. So all part of the presentation, all part of the project, and we're going to move through it very quickly. So we became a Nova Scotia registered not-for-profit early in 2022 with the specific objective of bringing pickleball to River John. We're a member of Pickleball Nova Scotia, Pickleball Canada. We've been formed by a group of 12 community members, and we're looking to bring the new recreation and active living opportunity of pickleball to the residents of River John and surrounding area. So one of the things we did early on was set up a Facebook page for River John Pickleball just to gauge the interest in the community. As of this week, we have 189 members that have joined the Facebook page for River John Pickleball. So some interest there for sure. We just started offering winter pickleball at the River John Fire Hall. We only have one court in there, so not a lot of people can play at once. But in the first 5 sessions that we had there, we've had 12 new people come out who have never played pickleball before. So part of our objective is to introduce people to the sport, and even with what we're doing at the fire hall, we're starting to make that happen. Obviously, we're looking to build a 3-court facility very similar to what Little Harbor has. So one of the key project objectives, but more than that, we're really focused on bringing pickleball to the River John and surrounding community. So what's that mean? That means we're going to be doing training to bring new people into the sport. We're going to have seniors programs, youth programs, a lot of different programs. We're partnering with the Y to bring some of their programs to the pickleball facility. So we're really focused on bringing pickleball to River John and surrounding area, not just building a court and whoever shows up, shows up. We're also very focused on the social, physical, and mental health benefits of pickleball. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in North America. With COVID and coming out of COVID and the lockdowns, people need a way to start to re-engage. And so this is one of the key opportunities to do that. And it's one of the things that we're very focused on. In terms of our overall project, we are partnering with the River John Legion for a location for the pickleball facility. We're partnering with the Wyatt Pictou County. We're making an investment in the program, as well as bringing some of their programming to River John via the pickleball facility, and Tam is going to talk about that this evening. We've also designed the courts so that they're accessible for wheelchair play. So the objective is make it inclusive, make it accessible to everyone, and actually work hard at getting people engaged in the whole thing. I think we all recognize that there's a need for rural recreation facilities. Makes sense. Most of the population is in cities and towns, so most of the recreation investment moves to cities and towns. When you think about it, high gas prices right now, the ability to travel half an hour, Little Harbor, for example. Next closest one the other direction would be new courts being built in Pugwash. But some people won't be able to afford the fuel for that. Some people won't have the means to travel. And I think the other thing that really plays into this, you have an hour and a half to do a recreation activity, and you have to drive half an hour each way. A lot of people just aren't going to bother. So getting recreation facilities into the community. And I think the other thing I would say is the demographics that we see, not only in Nova Scotia, Pictou County, but throughout Canada. The country's getting older, town is getting older. And so pickleball is something that people can play in their teens, their 30s, 40s, 50s. I sometimes play with a guy who's in his 80s. So it is definitely something that is lined up with the demographic trends that we see in the marketplace today. So I'm going to turn it over to Margaret Berry, and she's going to talk a little bit about why this whole thing matters and why we should bring it to the community. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Margaret Berry today. For the founding members, and Vice President. I'm going to start by, okay, the quote there on the bottom is in blue, but I'm going to read it a little bit to you. It's, see? So it's from the Participation 2018 Pulse Report. And it says, according to Statistics Canada, only 16% of Canadian adults are getting the recommended amount of physical activity. So what that means is that a whopping 84% of the adult population that is not active enough. So it goes on to say that there need to be policies and the creation of accessible spaces that support active living. And there needs to be funding for programs that encourage sport participation, provide access to recreation facilities, and create opportunities to make physical activity fun and accessible to all. So our River Dawn Pickleball project, we think it touches on a lot of those things. It's going to create an accessible space that supports that active living. We certainly intend to encourage sport participation. It's going to create opportunities to make physical activity fun. And of course, it's going to be accessible to all. So by doing that, we think that the project, is going to play a role in improving the health and well-being of the whole community. Pickleball is an easy-to-learn sport. It's played by all ages. Recently, Pickleball Canada commissioned a respected national research company to survey Canadian households. One of the questions they asked was, why do you play pickleball? For all the ages that reported, 62% gave the primary reason as being fun. And when we factored in the baby boomers to that percentage rose to 89%. The next highest overall response was 38% of the individuals who indicated they play for social aspects. And then that was followed up by health and fitness. So I think this primary response of because it's fun makes pickleball a really great activity, really great physical activity. And I'm only speaking for myself, but you know, if there's a physical activity and it's fun also, then we're all more likely to do it. Okay, so there's many studies that speak to the physical well-being, the health benefits of the physical activity. The slide deck is listed some of those, and as published in the National Center for Biotechnology Information, physical activity improves cardiovascular fitness. And then from the Center of Disease Control, benefits of physical activity, it strengthens bones and muscles and improves your ability to do daily activities. And then closer to home, we have the Nova Scotia SHIFT Action Plan for Aging Population. And it reported that physical activity decreases the risk of developing and dying from chronic conditions, including obesity, diabetes, circulatory diseases, and dementia. Physical activities like pickleball also have benefits to the mental well-being. Again, from the National Center for Biotechnology Information, physical activity can reduce anxiety, depression, and negative mood, improve your sleep quality, and may also reduce stress and fatigue. Pickleball in the community will provide many opportunities for social engagement, and this is especially important for seniors who may be experiencing social isolation. Sport participation has been shown to affect attitudes and beliefs and foster an attitude of pride, happiness, and just feeling good. When thinking about the community benefits, We can see that a new recreation facility will get people outside and connecting with each other in the community. Once at the River John region, we can see people exploring the wonderful memorial gardens there and the nearby Trans-Canada Trail, or perhaps participating in community events held at the region. There'll be many opportunities for volunteering and helping, and for opportunities for seniors to volunteer and helping them stay connected socially in the community. The new recreation facility will make River John an area of more attractive place to spend time for both residents and tourists. And we think that more healthy individuals will result in a more healthy and vibrant community. To the programming. So the plan for programming is to be inclusive. There'll be opportunities for all age groups to learn and participate in sport. We will have play times for both beginners, experienced players, and those with disabilities. As Wade mentioned, there will be learn to play and train the trainer programs. The new facility will improve the opportunities for physical activity available to the youth in the area and to the seniors who make up almost half the population of Pictou Subdivision A. That's from Stats Canada, the 2021 reports. Our partner, the Y of Pictou County, certainly will be a great asset to the programming at the pickleball facility. So I've given reasons why pickleball, a physical activity, is good for the individual, and I feel good for the community as well. The next slide that has quotes from the letters of support we have received from the community, and they show that the community is supportive of the project as well. I'm not going to read them, we're just going to leave them up. And I'll just finish by saying that with a few personal comments, just a couple of years ago, I was walking with a cane. And my physical activity was very, very limited. Imagine. Since then, I've had a hip replacement, and 6 months after the surgery, I was introduced to the sport of pickleball. And I can say now that's my physical activity of choice. And to say that my health and well-being has really been impacted by, trying this new sport and participating in this new sport. I'm going to leave these up as John gets ready. He's going to talk about the project status and the financials. Thank you.
She's very competitive on pickleball.
All right, I'm John Brothers, and my wife and I bought a cottage in Melville in 1995, so we've been pretty well close to it. That time in Pictou County in 2016, she retired as a teacher, and I retired from Brad Norton, and we built a house, and we pretty well live up there full time. So, and pickleball is a nice thing to have. So here's where we're at. About January of this year, we decided that as a group, we think River John would be a perfect spot to build pickleball facility. So we started meeting, we prepared lots of applications for funding to different organizations, but we're a little late in the process and didn't have as much success last year in terms of getting some funding. But in the meantime, we secured two great partners, the River John Region, which Mike will speak to, has a beautiful piece of land that's ideally located near the Trans-Canada trails. Say and Little Harbor both have gone through these types of projects, and they've collaborated with us in great detail. So we have all their information, and they've shared lots of good ideas and suggestions with us. And all of us have been to these facilities as well. We've driven up and made a day of it. So in the meantime, like this summer, the River John days, we have booths set up. We have demonstration net animals. We got the draw for a gift bag for us. And we had lots of support right by the Lions breakfast the whole week. So we had people there. Wade mentioned on social media, and Margaret just started learning to play in River John. In fact, I got an email from somebody I had no idea today, where I got here. She said, "I heard there's pickleball at River John Fire Department. How do I play?" So that's just in progress, and it's a great little spot. Obviously, the partnership with the lobby is important to us, and they'll speak for themselves. So where we're at, we are preparing grant applications, and we're hopeful that you'll be one of the first ones to sign up. So here's the cost. So the Maritime Tennis Court builders, they were involved in Little Harbor, Arsag, and I understand they're building a Pugwash right now. They've given us a quote that's $129,700 for 3 pickleball courts, which would include nets around the court, asphalt surface preparation, and screen nets between the courts to improve the speed of play. Project management is really the value of the time we're all putting in. We have to buy some wind screens because, as you know, there is some wind on the North Shore, and the pickleball is it's a hollow plastic ball with holes in it. And puts in the wind on it, that ball will move very quickly. Landscaping and some of the other places put lights in, but lights are a very expensive expenditure, and so we just have to be rough it in for now. And so we are fortunate enough down the road to have enough money, we would put the lights in if there's a band. So contingency, which every project should have, we're talking 153,000 plus HST, so about $175,000. So how we're going to pay for that? Well, we're here tonight to speak to you folks in the municipality of Pictou County, and we're looking for a grant of $40,000. In addition, we have applied already to the province of Nova Scotia for the recreation facility development grant of $40,000. We just recently submitted a new to the federal government, New Horizons for Seniors program, $25,000. We made a presentation to Sutherland Harris last year, and it's getting rolled forward again this year. And we're looking for $20,000 from Sutherland Harris. The committee itself is going to donate their own time for the project management and do the landscaping. And that leaves us with the YMCA, who's stepped to the table and already pledged $15,000 in support of the project. So we have to fundraise for the community around $24,000. So here's where we're at with fundraising. So we've got commitments now of $27,400, which includes 15 from the Y. And that total really is only since January, February, and it's 21 different people. 2 companies, 1 service club, YMCA, that's 4, and we've got the rest from 17 individuals who agreed to put some money up front to finance the project. So if we're successful getting the grants that we believe we can get, we only need to fundraise $10,992 from our community, and we think that's very achievable given support we're garnering right now. So our community partners are the River John Legion and Pictou County YMCA. So I'll bring President Mike Topley to the table to speak on behalf of Legion and show their support for the project.
Thank you, John. Board Parker, councilors. I'm Mike Topley. I'm president of the River John Legion. I've been the president for 5 years. There's not a lot of people looking for my job, so I'll probably be the president for 5 years. I know you're all familiar with the Legion. The Royal Canadian Legion's main mandate is to support veterans, their families, seniors, and the community, kind of in that order. Part of the Legion's mandate is to support sporting activities. The Legion for many years has supported youth track and field, and the more senior level, or more people get a little older, the pictures there show the history of the senior sports being darts and cribbage and pool. We kind of like to move beyond that because many of our seniors in our community are perhaps more active than they might have been than our parents were, at least. So we're very much on side with bringing pickleball club into River John as partners and providing the land for the facility. I don't know if many of you have been to the River John Legion. We've got a really nice building, great memorial gardens, as has been mentioned, next to the Trans-Canada Trail. And when we got the call from the Pickleball Club about a year ago saying they're interested in partnering, it was pretty much immediate. our board of directors came on board right away. We've been working with them on hammering out details of the agreement will basically, we're providing the land and the Legion's name. That's been done in other communities. If you go to Truro, the Colchester Legion Stadium was a Legion project. There's probably a lot of sporting facilities that have got the Legion's name connected to it. So, yeah, so I guess I'll conclude with that. We're very much on side with this, and we hope that you will help us out.
I'm Tammy from the YMCA. Thanks for your time. And this is also a great fit for the Y as well. In our strategic plan, our YMCA wants to extend our reach better into rural Pictou County. So we thought it was a perfect fit project when we heard about it as well. And we also were gifted an endowment fund from the Citizens for Healthy Pictou County. And so we have the interest income that we can use towards projects, because the endowment gift came with specific parameters. And when the gift was given to us, we talked a lot about rural Pictou County in the presentation, in the check presentation. And so it's always been on the YMCA's radar, because that was like January 2020. You know what happened in March 2020, kind of got distracted for a while. And then we found out that about this project, and it's such a fit for us, just because, just like Margaret's story, I hear lots of stories at the YMCA every day about how people's lives have been positively impacted by pickleball, and how their health and wellness and their social networks have really improved. And I even brought some quotes from some of our members. And so I will read a couple for you, just because they're quite something. It's a great way to have fun and exercise and improve my health. Since playing, my blood pressure has dropped and I have more lung capacity. We have lots of laughs with new friends I met. It's a sport that's fun for all ages. And I'll read one more. My husband and I recently retired and we heard about the game, but I thought it was for old folks. Well, we were wrong. This game improves reflexes, agility, and overall fitness. We've met so many people through the sport and have made lasting friendships. It keeps us moving, and it's not for old folks. So at the YMCA, we have 17 hours of pickleball a week. And some of those hours, you can't even get a spot. And so there's definitely a need for more pickleball courts in our community, I can assure you. When we have, you book in the app, when we launch booking times, within 6 minutes, all the spots are gone. And so we know for sure that there's definitely a need for more courts, and we would like to get involved in promoting pickleball in the community of River John.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank council for agreeing to issue taxable donation receipts for us. That's obviously a big help in our fundraising. Nobody likes to pay taxes, if they can get part of the money back, even better. So that has increased the level of donations that individuals have committed to giving to us, and in many cases have already made those donations. So thank you very much for the accommodation, greatly appreciated. We appreciate your time. We do understand that you're not making a decision tonight on whether you give us a grant or not. We just want to take the opportunity to get our project in front of you and show you some of the passion and some of the work that has gone into bringing this to River John so far. So thank you very much for your time. And if there's any questions, we'd be happy to take.
Okay, thank you. And we will open it up for questions. I just want to point out a couple of things first. I think picked up on a couple things. One was fun and physical activity at the same time. I mean, that's sometimes hard to find. People go to the gym all the time, but they're suffering through it, you know, but they can have fun at the same time. I think that's important. And I also picked up on the traveling. As the price of gas continues to go right through the roof, along with furnace oil and everything else, but, you know, the cost now to travel, you know, from River John into, if you're going to Little Harbor or you're going to the Y or whatever, tremendous cost now, that a lot of people just have to say, well, no, thank you. And, I think River John just the other night there for the meeting with police, whatnot, it's quite a little, you know, a long way, but it's still quite a bit of traveling. But the fuel. The final thing I want to say was on your financials. You're right in that we don't consider, tonight we have one meeting, where we consider the, capital grants. And so the deadline is the end of February. Please make sure it's in before then. And I think I told you, perhaps Wade or somebody, last year was a very difficult time because we had over $1 million in requests for those capital grants, and I think we had 425,000 to give. Which we did stretch to 475,000, but, and last year we were also still, funding the, Harbor pickleball, this was over 2 years, so it was pretty hard to put more into another one the same year, so I think I encourage you to reapply, which you do, I know, and, so, you know, we'll look at that, and again, it depends on the number of grant requests that comes in, the amount of money we've got, there's nothing magic about it, but the only thing I was gonna say was, I'm involved with some other groups that are finding costs of things compared where they're here and where they are in a year's time or even 6 months' time, just, you know, soaring with inflation. So the contractors are putting a lot of padding in there because they can't get caught or don't want to get caught. So I just wonder how accurate that figure is going to be in a year's time or whatever, you know. I've seen in a number of situations where the numbers just taken off of them.
The price that we have for building the courts from Maritime Tennis Court Builders is 40% higher than what Little Harbor paid 2 years ago. So you are right, the numbers are going up. We did ask them for a quote just 2 weeks ago, assuming that we do something in early summer of 2023. So I gave that quote that John showed you based on early summer 2023. But they're not guaranteeing that price. You know, we're not in a position to sign a contract where we guarantee we'll go ahead with the current funding that we have. So I understand what you're saying. I appreciate what you're saying, and it's reality that we're going to have to deal with it somewhat.
That is a very recent quote. Then.
It is, yeah, literally 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Okay. Any questions, comments, Councilor Dave Carter?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a seasonal facility. Yeah.
We're struggling to fund an outdoor facility. We'd love to do indoor.
I hear you, but you indicated that you have a court right now set up in the fire department building.
Yes.
That is sort of a backup plan if it is more run. It's not still.
There's only room there for one court.
I understand that.
And so it is kind of the plan for winter.
Yeah. You're right. We talked about those, not hundreds of thousands. I want to compliment you and your group. Very thorough, well organized, complete presentation. I have relatively few questions. I was going to quiz John on bunch of the numbers, but the numbers are what they are. And I'm impressed the fact he reached out to so many other groups to get support, partnership. Monday's what makes it go around in those cases. My only concern for council, and this is something I asked for many months ago now, was how many kind of courts do we need within the county and where should they be? I'm afraid that in certain areas, every little community will want, you know, and $200,000 a pop, they're not cheap. Okay. So that we sort of need a master plan. I'm very confident that River John would be one of the sites because of its isolation distance from the other courts. But you know, realistically, how many do we need? Where should they be? Yeah, why? We have Little Harbor, we have River John. I suspect that Arizona probably pulls a few people out of the Far Eastern Metro County. But we need to answer that question before we rush headlong into this. How many do we need? And where should they be located? Because there's always, not always, but often a group of keen, enthusiastic citizens in a community that say, oh, we love that. So they form a committee and start pushing. Well, next thing you know, 4 miles up the road, there's another group. And 4 miles the other way, there's another group. So that's why we need to sort of have a master plan. I believe we asked our recreation department, maybe last February, when we were having that meeting. March, this will come. Such a plan, but I certainly don't have any problem supporting this plan, because almost regardless of how we go here, John would be an ideal site. So thank you for the presentation.
So one comment I would make to you, Councillor Parker, is pickleball was invented in the mid-60s. It really didn't do much until the baby boomers decided that they liked it. And so the growth that you've seen over the past 10 years has been a function of baby boomers going, I can't play tennis as much as I wanted to. There's something else. And so if you're not a baby boomer, you hate it. But the baby boomers drag the world along with them, and they continue to do so, and everyone's waiting for that effect to be over. So how many do you need? If you look at the US, the answer is a lot. I'm not saying that's your strategy for Victor County, but the answer is definitely a lot. I mean, there's communities in a place like Georgia with 8,000 people that have 16 to 20 courts. And as Tammy said, they're all booked up. They can't get enough time on them. So it is definitely growing, continues to grow. And it's the thing that amazes me is people who play, like to play, they don't play once in a while. They play quite a bit, which is why we see the physical benefits that come from it. So
Those are questions we do need to answer. We look after the dollar, we also want to provide the recreation.
thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Durham.
Thank you. Board, thank you people for coming in to talk. A few years ago, when Little Harbor came in for a presentation on like yourself. Split the money up that time for Little Harbor. Would you people be all right with that same, like half of that, would that work? And then half the next year? Just give me an idea, because I'm on that committee. And or you want, it's pretty hard to put it all out at once, okay?
Warren Parker had warned me when I think we spoke back in May that may be desirable from your standpoint. We talked about that. Things like the court coding is $6,000, the good mats are $2,500. Some of those things may not be there in the first year. If some of the money comes later, they may have to come in the second year. So we have a contingency, I guess, of how you make it happen, how do you get people playing, and maybe some of the additional components have to wait until year 2, if that's the way that you could provide funding.
The other thing too, on your presentation and the slides there, it said about the 1,000 for the HST. Well, you'd be able to do something with what people are there and know how to look after the HST. You get so much of that back maybe for 1 year, but the most important thing I'm stressing is tonight is to have your application in by the time, okay? Because all it has to do is come the day late. I hope we're there, okay? But anyway, I just, congratulations, you've got good work.
Thank you very
If
much.
I can comment, we'd love to work with you on the HST issue if we could find a way to help there. I mean, we're not registered, so that's the difficulty.
So if you register, what do you do, joint stock?
No, we are a registered nonprofit society with registered joint stocks, but to get the HST back, you have to be a registered.
Charity.
As a nonprofit person like ourselves, we're not a charity. If we were a charity, it would.
Well, the Legion would be. They're not a charity.
Legion's not a charity.
Okay.
But the municipality has a mechanism to recover some of its HST. So I'd be happy to have that conversation if we could find a way that we could try to strategy would work. It's $21,000 is a lot of money.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Johnson next.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out. I was the co-chair of the 55 plus games when we sort of introduced it in 2015. And it was I still can't play the 55 plus games, so.
You get there.
Yeah, it's all relative, eh? It's nothing. So it's a fabulous sport. It's good for movement. And I noticed it down in Little Harbor, I stopped by. All the courts down there are busy all the time. On a good day, we're out there. I was talking to a rec director in Ish County, and she said the day after the Hurricane Fiona was pickleball players wanted to get on the courts. So they're hardcore. And more closer to home, my neck of the woods, Springville has a tennis court. And there's some two ladies up there, and they had some chalk and they drew some lines on them. So we're looking for the same thing here. Yeah, we're a little ahead of you because we have the court. But wish you luck. It's a pretty daunting undertaking you're taking on there, but I think there's a path forward for you. And as far as distance between recreation facilities, about 15 minutes. So it's taking biking or driving to get to. So. Not too much around you as far as where else you're gonna go. You're not on the.
Okay, next I have Councilor Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for you and work going on tonight. Certainly appreciated the information. That's proud of the group in Little Harbor who worked so hard to get their pickleball. Even work they went into it wasn't easy, but they did stay at it, and they have succeeded. And as far as playing outdoors, they're still there today. And sometimes they're still pulling out in their court outside. We have to open the community center and let go back inside for some of the ones that want to stay inside. So they're well used, and I understand how important it is to the community. It's got a lot of people out, a lot of people with a lot more physically active. They certainly do. And you just thinking about $200,000 basically to put in a court may seem like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money to fundraise yourselves and come up with. But at the end of the day, it's not really a huge ticket item for the amount of good you get out of it. I think it's really important. I think we need to realize that we need to be participating in status. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Elliott.
I just want to say thank you for coming to the presentation and us for the project from day one, and then lots of conversations with the great people here tonight doing the presentation. And I think it's a wonderful idea, and I'm all for it 100%.
And Deputy Warden Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Everybody, all the other speakers there, thanks for coming to the great presentation. Just one question on the ownership, but the course be owned by the Legion or please step back to your club, or what's the scenario there?
So the agreement that we have says that the Legion is providing the land. And John Pickleball Club is managing the facility, operating the facilities. So we're responsible for finding the money, getting it built, and managing it. And as long as we are managing it, I don't know if we actually answered the question who owns it. We've laid out the responsibilities of each party. And that's essentially what the agreement addresses, because it is an immovable object. If we were to breach the agreement, then they would own it. So by default.
Yeah, so there's no lease agreement. And I would presume that the just wondering.
just to follow up on that, financially, if things didn't work out down the road, not the building part, but the operational part, who's responsible if there's build up a debt, and is that unity group that's formed here, was the volunteers, or, you know, who did it come back on if, goes wrong?
So you say if something goes wrong, we will have our liability insurance, if that's what you're looking
No,
for.
I mean more your financial cost. It's a cost to, say, you know, went through, you might have insurance, I guess, but let's say if something had major cost there, I guess you go fundraising again, but I mean,
Yes,
who's behind it financially, I guess? There always has to be somebody that.
Upfront.
well, I guess to, our thinking so far has been if there is an unexpected expense, it's based on a potential liability. So we would have, and we have today 5 million in general liability insurance. Legion is going to have the facility covered under the physical facility covered under their insurance, but we hit by a hurricane or a tornado or something like that. So, and then we don't really anticipate any other major expenses outside of that. It should be 25 to 30 years to be the life of an asphalt facility.
Ongoing.
Okay, one more question has to do with the counties putting money in, which hopefully we'll get to that point, but how open is this to the community? Like, is there a charge? I saw that on the slides where there's going to be help for people that were financially constrained or whatever, or physically handicapped, all that, but what's a normal resident of River John, who's not a member of society or whatever, what's the charge? Is it yearly, or is it every time you use it? How does that work?
So we're going to do a membership fee. So people that would play there regularly would be a member. My guess is we're probably going to end up somewhere on the membership fee between RSA, which is quite low, and Little Harbor, which is somewhat high. So I'm guessing, we haven't set the number yet, but we're probably going to be with a membership fee that's in between RSA and Little Harbor.
That's a yearly fee or every use fee?
An annual membership.
Annual membership fee, and if you're not a member, then you don't play, is the way it works, unless you're in one of these groups that you're at.
Yeah, I mean, part of the challenge we have is that the liability insurance is through Pickleball Canada. And their liability insurance covers members of pickleball clubs. And when we investigated buying insurance outside of Pickleball Canada, the insurance companies are not interested in dealing with one club at a time. So they said, we've done the deal with Pickleball Canada. If you want liability insurance, be a member of Pickleball Canada, which we already are, and get your liability insurance that way. So they require that people who play more than 2 times be members of Pickleball Canada, and we would require that they be a member after that they've played a couple of times. But I think the objective, if I think, is that it's affordable for people to do.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments, tonight for John Pickleball Society? Okay, seeing none, I want to thank, all of you for coming in tonight, and, you, made us all more aware, I guess, of what your objectives are, and, when the time comes to look at the money into things in February, March, we'll have a better idea of where you're at, and, I don't think there's any disagreement around this room that we need more physical activity in Pickett County. And this seems to, for that particular area, like my brother Dave said, we don't know how many we should have or whatever, but for that particular area, yeah, you've got a good start. I think you've got a good, agreement with the, Legion. It's a good location. And, you've got good people working on it, so, good people make good things happen. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for your time. Okay. With order.
You know, get things. I'm gonna try to do this. And you actually to, mention earlier, not too many things going on, I guess, but, Councilor McKeel, obviously not with us tonight, none of the weather. But, she was sick to show up, I said, well, the rest of them want to catch that you get it.
Well,
I think that's. Good, that's right. Okay, we'll move on with their agenda, Council. So the next thing on our agenda, under correspondence requiring action, is a proclamation for the Crohn's and Colitis Society, declaring awareness month. So I'm going to read that proclamation now. I, Robert Parker, Warden, Municipal County, Pictou, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2022 as Crohn's and Colitis Awareness Month. Whereas Crohn's and Colitis Canada is a national volunteer-based nonprofit organization supporting the over 270,000 Canadians living with inflammatory bowel disease, a chronic autoimmune disease that causes the body to attach healthy tissue, leading to inflammation of part or all of the digestive system. And whereas people living with IBD routinely endure abdominal pain, cramping, fatigue, internal bleeding, and frequent and urgent bowel movements, in some cases over 20 times a day. While more than 5 million people globally live with IBD, Canada has one of the highest prevalence rates in the world. The Atlantic provinces have the highest rates in the country. By 2030, experts predict the number of Canadians living with IBD to exceed 400,000, 1% of the population. Currently, there is no cure. And whereas every November, Canada celebrates Crohn's and Colitis Awareness Month. As part of this initiative, landmarks across Canada are illuminated red in a show of support for everyone impacted by IBD. And whereas to learn more about Crohn's and Colitis Canada, the work the organization does, please visit crohnsandcolitis.ca. I've already declared declaring the municipality setting aside the month of November as Crohn's and Colitis Awareness Month, dated in Pictou, Nova Scotia, the 7th day of November 2022, signed by myself, Warden Robert Parker. Okay, don't vote on the proclamations, so we'll move on now. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Councilman.
Just it says here whether different landmarks light up in red. Do we have a way of illuminating it red?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
There's two purposes, like Joanne said, it's also remembrance, which will be read. I should have asked if there was any questions. Basically, just reading the proclamation. Okay, on the next one, there may be some debate on the next one. It's from the United Church of Canada, requesting that council support a universal basic income. Idea that's been around for a long while, and we should talk about, but never gets much better to talk. But so they're asking us to put forward a motion to support Senate, the federal government, I guess, who controls these things, to support a universal basic income. Does somebody want to make a motion to the effect, or get a starting point? Okay, it's moved by Councilor Turner and a seconder.
Second.
Councilor Dave Parker. Okay, so the motion is on the floor to support a universal basic income. Is there Any debate on that motion? Go ahead, picture with that, Councilor Kern.
Thanks, Mr. Warden. When this came up, it was something that piqued my interest. So I did a little research on it. So I get some different perspectives on this, and there seems to be consensus of Canadians that are in support of the basic income of $30,000 is the basic income that 60% of Canadians support. Some of the cons that have arisen in the debate is that it's going to be an unfair, complicated, and costly way to eliminate poverty. But there's also the arguments that it can be simple, fair, and affordable. And the argument that it could be fair, simple, and affordable is that it's to be phased in. That is, it's not to come in just in one fell swoop, that it would be phased in. One of the biggest arguments is that this is a Stanford University study that says basic income programs can inspire social integration. And that social integration, I think, is basic reason that I am in favor of it. It will lessen marginalized communities. So we have a tremendous amount of marginalized communities, and it seems to be getting deeper and deeper and deeper in our societies that these marginalized communities are being affected, whether they be marginalized by health, marginalized by mental health, marginalized by income, marginalized by communities, marginalized by parties. There's all kinds of things that seem to be dividing us rather than uniting us. And Stanford University says that a basic income program can inspire social integration. So it's not a magic bullet, and it's not going to get rid of all our societal ills, but I think it's a step in the right direction. One of the other arguments against it is it's going to hamper the labor market. And there's a whole conversation about if there's a basic income, it's going to de-incentivize people to go to work. And all the statistics that I've read anyway is contrary to that, is that if there's a cost benefit analysis to it, there's going to be a net savings for our society as a whole. So all the programs that we have in place to support people that are marginalized, those programs can be brought down, and it's the redistribution of the wealth. And I think that's an achievable thing, because one of the big things that hampers our progress as a society is the concentration of wealth at the top and the distribution of that wealth. And I think as we redistribute that wealth, it'll help our societies substantially because of the huge divides that are in our societies right now. Because we have recipients now that are relying on social services, and over time, ideally those social services will be reduced, and the redistribution of the income will benefit everyone. So the cost of it, they're looking at $30,000 a year as a starting point. It can be offset by scaling back tax credits. The pros that are going to come from it are, and just I can see it in schools. I can see with the students. If you had a basic income for some of these families, some of these students would come to school when they have a lunch, because some of these kids come to school now and they don't have a lunch. They don't get clean clothes. They come from impoverished families, and they are living in a cycle that will perpetuate itself, because they are growing up learning that's the way that the system works. And to break that cycle, one of the big tools that we could have is so basically that's
Or thank you to the Councilor Turner. You should be an MP with the. Now, well done. Councilor David.
Thank you, Chair. I'd first like to thank Councilor Turner for a very thoughtful overall presentation on the universal basic income. He's right, it's an idea that's been kicking around for decades. It's been tried, and some experimental efforts at it. And it does have many benefits, and of course, it has some possible cons as well. But he's right, it's mostly aimed at allowing those who exist in property, sometimes for generations, to at least have a ramp out of that trap, it is a trap. And you'll hear, well, it just make people lazy. You hear people saying now, the reason why businesses can't fill their jobs is because there's too much CERB money. Well, that ended well over a year ago, 2 years ago. There's many complex reasons why our evolving society does not have enough people to replace us who are retired. That's a lot of money. But having universal basic income doesn't make people lazy. Gives them a chance maybe to upgrade their education and raise their children. How we put it, so that they're not stigmatized by poverty. Okay? Poverty is great, stigmatized in fact. And the universal basic income, some of that will go away. This is not a cure. Okay, but it has the potential to lift a segment of our society out of poverty. Now, on a similar point, and there's a story in the JCBC yesterday's of it's called a lower middle class family who are complaining that none of these here breaks that are available, both federally and provincially, none of them apply to that. Once you go over a certain threshold, you're cut off completely. They're struggling just above that threshold. They're watching their neighbors get some help. They're not eligible for any of them. We need to give more thought as to cutoffs and how they are administered. It shouldn't be all or nothing. It should be gradual. Cutoff is 30,000 for a single family. Then should be at 32, you get a percentage of 34, you get a lesser percentage, and so on. Should be a ramp, not just an absolute cutoff. And those things need to be indexed. They also point out that as a province, that our cutoffs are not indexed for inflation. We all know what inflation is. But there are several ways to begin to make real progress on tackling poverty. And this is one of them. Important one. That's why I'll be supporting the motion. Thank you.
Okay, do you have any further comments or questions? Councilor Thompson, go ahead.
I'm supporting the motion. Hal and Karen, are residents of my community. They do a lot of social advocacy work. They're church ministers. But we already have, in some ways, we do have some forms of basic income guarantee, GIS, guaranteed income supplement. But you have to be 65 years of age or older. And there's a lot of child poverty in our county. Yeah, to turn a blind eye to that would be an awful thing to do. And we have to find ways to alleviate some of that. A lot of these children that grow up in poverty, they're not full participants in society, not active in sporting programs, because they need to afford it, or they don't have time because they're working 2 or 3 jobs. This has been tried in European countries. There's been test cases in or areas in Canada. I think Thunder Bay was tried, but it was shut down by the Ontario government recently. it's something that needs to, and I don't know what the cutoff and what the guaranteed income would be. I think that's something for a higher level of government to investigate and determine, but we support it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead, Councilor Farmer.
Well, I don't know a whole lot about it, to tell you the truth. But $30,000, is that the livable income right now? Maybe it is, but later on, is it? If you work a minimum wage job today, you make $28,000. So I hope we're not creating a lazy society. I hope that people aren't going to say, well, gee, I can say, oh, we have $30,000, why would I go to work at a minimum wage job? Then you have a labor shortage. But we're experiencing now, before COVID, and I talked to many business owners, there was no way, there wasn't the labor shortage that they're having today. I talked to the pharmacies, I talked to pizza place, I talked to a restaurant, they can't get workers. I don't know where the workers went, because I don't think we lost a lot of people, I think we gained more people than we lost. So I'm not just sure where the workers are, but how are they living? The other thing you gotta look at is, what is this going to cost the taxpayer? Right, where's all this money coming from? You got 40% of your population not working, right? So you take in immigrants to do work and things like that. I just don't know. I just don't know a whole lot about it, and pretty soon you're going to say, people are going to say, why am I working? But I can make this kind of money stay at home. I think it's probably, so I won't be sworn to that. Government comes up with more information and tell us how it's going to work and everything like that, then I might be able to support that. I can't support just the letter saying, get looking. Anyway.
It's one of those issues where everybody decides pretty easily on it, but I guess I think we as a country for a long time have considered this. I think Councilor Turner mentioned that somebody said well, it would be complicated, convoluted, or whatever. Certainly, what we have right now is we have a whole lot of different support systems trying to support different groups that have different limits on them and whatnot, and certainly the government's pretty proud of their, child care one and child support ones, and then we have ones for seniors, and we have ones for various other. But I've heard in papers sometimes you could have, if they had this, then you would get rid of a lot of other programs. Challenge would be, do you get rid of those other programs, or do you keep them along with this, making it even worse maybe, but we do need to find a way somehow to make sure that, how the term is talking about that discrimination very well against a whole lot of groups. And, I agree with what Councilor Palmer is saying. In the workforce, it's just everybody's out there, can't find anybody, but we lost half our population COVID, but we didn't. That's what it seems like. We can't find anybody to work anymore. So it's not an easy one, but it was put in front of us. Thank you to debate and decide which way we want to go. Go ahead, Councilor Brooks.
Well, I had sort of the same concerns as Councilor Palmer. I just don't know over it and don't know where they're coming with, on it. So if we're more informed or knew, where it was going to land maybe, but there's a whole lot of things. Yes, I mean, the new people coming here from other countries who guarantee $30,000 a year, or what I mean, whatever the case may be. So I just don't know enough about it to support it. Thanks.
Okay, Councilor Butler.
Mr. Chair, I also have concerns about our labor force and what a program like this would do to the diminishing labor force that we have. I think that there are a lot of good programs that are targeted to various groups that are doing good work. I think that perhaps more should be done in that regard. I think if we look back over history, it's been very difficult to drop programs, drop funding as a society, we continue to do more and more, and invest more and more. And I think this it would be difficult to erase some of the programs we presently have. I think that, as a few other councillors have said, that we really need more information before we could make a informed decision on this.
Okay, go ahead, Councilor Turner.
Thanks. I just want to speak briefly on the concern about where the jobs have gone. A lot of people retrained themselves during COVID, and a lot of people that had $15 jobs moved into $25, $30 jobs. So it left a void. And quite frankly, there's a living wage that's been proposed, and it's considerably to the mid-20s in order to live. And people get paid $15 an hour. And there's a concentration of wealth at the top. That redistribution has to take place in order for people to get ahead. People that have no influence, that cannot even have no sense of influence, those people, they deserve to have a living. And it's the concentration of wealth at the top. You look at the profits of the huge companies that are making scandalous amounts of money. And it's not trickling down to the people that are working at $15 an hour wage. That's why there's no people working. Because they've retrained themselves. Those people have retrained themselves and gone into better jobs. And there's nobody to fill them in at the bottom. And we're lucky to have people coming in here as immigrants, taking those jobs. We're very lucky. So that's why they can't fill jobs. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Councilor Thompson.
I just want to listen to some council's comments. That's it. Stick around this information, so we need more information. So I'm going to either draw a motion or table to a future session.
I heard that too, and wonder where it's going, but maybe we just need a motion to table until we get more information, but I think we need to be a little bit specific then about what information we're looking for. You know, rather than just more information, we could just leave that there forever.
Well, if there's some examples of pilot programs in Canada and in other jurisdictions around the world, this has been successful, which there has. It's worked. It's worked in Canada too. I think we need to hear what that as council if we want to make a decision as long as whether it's tabled or if it's just moved, I don't know.
Councilor Palmer has an idea.
The only thing is, I think, not going to get it next one. Because I think they're looking, the government's come up with the idea of how much she is and where the money's going to come from. So tell the government, trying to go make a decision, how are you going to know what's being offered?
This is on, like Councilor Thompson said, more information from places, whether it's other countries or other provinces that are already doing it or something.
But the other economies are different than ours.
Certainly are, but it would give us some idea. Go ahead, Councilor.
I know that I've already spoken twice, but the last sentence in the request is, if you wish further information or conversation regarding this request, we've been more than happy to oblige. That's the last sentence.
Maybe we should.
Okay, I'm going to table it.
Yeah, let's table it and ask for that more information, whether it's somebody that comes here and talks to us, or they send us more information. So you're making the motion to table then, Councilor Turner?
Yep.
Okay, and do we have a seconder for that motion?
I'll withdraw to withdraw.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's the easier way. You withdraw the motion.
Withdraw the motion.
And, the seconder, yeah, and, yeah, it's a good debate we've had, and I didn't expect it to go all one way, so, I don't think any of us case helping people, we just need to know more details before we say, yeah, we're on. So, Okay, so we don't need a vote at all because we're through the motion. All right, we'll move right along then to the thank you letters for the work, or the letters that didn't require action. I did want to make a comment on the second group, the thank you letters for donations from we donated money to the Burnish River Hope Church in memory of the late Elmer Williams, who served here as deputy warden at one time. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware. When I found the gavel at the first of the meetings, this here was donated. So the plaque on the end is presented to Municipal Council by Deputy Warden Elmer Williams, District Number 16, in 1979. They did have a few more districts, and they're still trying to shrink this, but I just want everybody to be aware that this gavel here was donated in 1979, 43 years ago, by Elmer Williams, who passed away recently. And it was nice to get that thank you card from his family. Councilor Dewar, go ahead.
Thank you. Just a correction to that. It says a letter thank you for donation to Burnish River Marshall Home.
Oh, I just thought it was the name of the church, the Hope Church.
And Marshall.
Okay, Burnish River and Marshall Hope. Okay, well, but I brought that up to get that correct. Go ahead, Councilor David Burke.
Just to add a bit of detail to that gavel and pencil we have is made out of bird's eye paper.
Yes, it is.
I think you could hammer it for a long time.
I'll start trying.
And also the Williams family, they are very well known in the lumber business on the Burnish River. Elmer was part of that large family that for, I think, 112 years now, operated the sawmill in Burnish River. 1910. That's just a couple more details as to that. On general, we recently lost. Thank you.
And Mr. Porter with this council for years and served as your deputy warden. So,
The bank account.
always an again.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Councilor Ward, go ahead.
I'm just assuming what you're talking about this correspondence. I'm just going back to the support the universal basic income. Are we planning on having them come to council and do a presentation? We didn't really say this.
I think that was the message I got that perhaps the deputy warden himself, the CAO, will see if we can't line something up. They have somebody come in. I see some people's names there, whether those are just communicated by
I
email.
just want to make sure.
Yeah, now we'll follow up on it. And yeah, there's always danger of just everything off. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the resolutions. And the first one comes to David Parker, public works vehicle purchase.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Resolution. Whereas tenders have been called, the purchase of 2 SUV/crossover vehicles, Public Works and Development Department. Whereas a total of 3 tenders were received as follows. From Aaron GM, these tender amounts exclude HST, of $72,651.50. Taylor Honda, the amount of $69,220 even. Highland Nissan, the amount of $58,056 even. Call us for 2 vehicles. Whereas the Director of Public Works and Development and the Financial Services Committee recommends the acceptance of the lowest tender. Therefore, be resolved by the Municipal Council for the municipality of the County of Pictou. Council to accept the tender submitted by Highland Nissan in the amount of $58,056 for the purchase of, the letter A out of there, for the purchase of 2 Nissan Qashqai vehicles. Dated Pictou, MS, this is the 7th day of November 2022. Signed by myself, Councilor David Parker, seconded by Councilor Jerry Wolfridge Elliott.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we accept the lowest bid from Highland Nissan for these 2 SUV crossover vehicles. Is there any question, comments on that motion? I do want to point out, for the sake of our climate change advisory committee, we very much wanted us to go towards electric vehicles for not electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles. This is gonna save some gas and energy, carbon, I guess, in the atmosphere because they're much smaller vehicles than what we've had in the past on them. But I just wanted to be clear, from staff as to why we're not getting either, either electric or hybrid vehicles in this thing. Turn that to a little bit.
Thank you, Warden. We did include in our tender, an encouragement for bidders to provide options for either hybrid or electric vehicles. But unfortunately, we had such vehicles, all bids came in for gas. We had encouraged the possibility of multiple candidates for the leadership.
And this was put out provincially, not just locally.
Correct. This was put out to the handbook will be paired. County as well as under provincial public.
On the provincial site too. So really the answer to the climate change advisory committee is we did put out for it, but no bids.
And thankfully, to reiterate your point, we are, at least we went with smaller vehicles. Should
More efficient, putting out less carbon, but yes, we hope that in the future, we couldn't really get electric vehicles right now until we get our decisions or be much more convenient than we're on anyway, but I would hope at one time, it looks like we're going toward hybrids, but.
and to be honest, we hope given the success of our services department. So I have a vehicle.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to be clear because I know we're going to be asked that question at the climate advisory committee. So if there's no further questions on that resolution, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, we move on to Councillor Palmer with the municipal boundary review.
Thank you, Ward. Resolution, whereas section 369 of the Municipal Code Act requires council of every town, municipality to apply to the Nova Scotia Utility Review Board to confirm or alter the number and boundaries, polling districts, and the number of councillors. Whereas the municipality is required to conduct a survey into the reasonableness and fairness of the number of councillors before making an application to the board. Whereas the municipality conducted a public consultation process which involved 5 in-person sessions along with the virtual session during the month of September 2022. Whereas the municipality also sought opinions from residents at a public consultation sessions through an online survey on the number of councillors and the style of governance, mayor versus board system. Whereas the majority of the respondents to the survey conducted at public consultation sessions and online submissions supported the current number of councillors in the ward system of council governments. Therefore, be resolved by the municipal council for the municipality of the county of the council submits an application to the Nova Scotia Utility Review Board to confirm the number of councillors at 12. Dated effective Nova Scotia the 7th day of November 2022. Myself, Councillor Randy Palmer, second by Councillor Chester Gould.
So second.
Okay, thank you. That's the resolution moved and seconded that we submit to the UARB the number of councillors at 12. Do we need to, we have the current number of councillors, yeah, you have the word says mostly have a paragraph. Those are the 2 questions they have. And there was no request for changes in the boundaries. Or no significant requests. And the numbers, like you see, those that are close enough to the plus and minus that we have to live within. So are there any questions or comments on us sending this forward to the UARB? We had a very low turnout for sure at our meetings and online and everywhere else. I think probably says that people are satisfied with what we have. Either that or disinterested, whatever we want to choose, but we have to go by what comes out. That comes forward. Okay, I'm going to call to the vote on that motion then. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Now, Logan, I think you're going to lead us through this PDO zone initiative for this county. It has to do with wood waste, I think. I'll let you lead the way through that.
Yes, thank you, Gordon. To start off, I'd like to reiterate the previous point that this initiative has been made aware of by the Pictou County Partnership. Wade Tebow, the champion of the Pictou County Partnership, brought this to our attention. He had hoped to be here tonight, but unfortunately is away on a conference. So he had passed along. Most critical of the information for your briefing is provided in your package, which is that BDO briefing document. At a high level, BDO zones, BDO stands for Bioeconomy Development Opportunity Zone. We were approached via Pictou County Partnership from a company called EcoStrat, which is a consulting company that handles these type of applications and advances successfully elsewhere in Canada. Melville, Saskatchewan is the success story that they identified. In Melville, they use waste from their green products in the provision of bio-based fuels, development of bio-based fuels. They have not had an active, successful application there yet, but they have a lot of interest via this program. The overall purpose of this program, the BDO Zone Initiative, is to identify areas that have potential for biomass assets that can be developed ultimately into some sort of a clean fuel. They targeted Pictou County. EcoStrat found us targeted Pictou County because of their awareness of our volume of wood waste. What is being asked for tonight is a letter of support from this council to work through the application to the Clean Fuels Fund, which would be spearheaded by the Pictou County Partnership. There's no financial aspect this time. The way that this program would work is that with council support, the Pictou County Partnership will do the work of preparing our application for the Clean Fuels Fund. And if we are successful, we would proceed with the BDO zone. With the ultimate goal of receiving a high rating in the BDO zone rating system, an A or a AA rating being the ultimate goal. Ultimately putting us on the map for biomass companies and developers looking to develop such facilities and opportunities as we may have in this province. We would be the destination for this 100-kilometer radius. All the strength of the forestry industry throughout not just Pictou County, but also Antigonish, Guysborough, portions of Colchester and Cumberland, portions of Halifax counties would act as a boon to our overall application and give us the potential to be the target applicant for this program. There is no anticipated financial ask even upon the completion of the formal application for the BDO zone categorization. 10% to 33% that would be asked of the county as our contribution accounting for labor preparation of the application, circulation of documents, which Pictou County Partnership has agreed to spearhead. So ultimately, what the ask is for council tonight is for a letter of support indicating council support in the preparation of the Clean Fuels Fund application, and ultimately, if successful, the application of the BDO zone classification, which the intention of which is to put Pictou County on the map as an area for growth and development in the biofuel industry, given our strong forestry sector and live biomass problem. Well, any questions or comments that this council may have, and ask that council consider about the exception.
Owen and I did discuss this briefly, with Scott Ferguson, who's our, guy at the, partnership now. And, he's certainly very much in favor of it, Wade certainly is leading it, but, he said it basically just scores you. Some of these companies who will say how much biomass you have in storage, so the companies that are looking to set up biomass operations, then they can look and say, well, we're only going to check them onto the AA or whatever, because they have enough material. It's not costing us anything, it's not gonna, if a project comes along that, we don't approve of, then turn that down the road, but we should be people careful. You know, that maybe you're allowing something, company to come in and burn all of this, well, that's not the objective right now, it's more to turn it into biofuel, which can be done with the technology we have now. So, but I want to open it up now to any questions people have on this. You know, like I say, it's a letter of support they're looking for, that the county would be all right with them moving ahead with this with any cost borne by the partnership, I guess, with it, other than the paperwork, it's not a lot of cost. Anybody have any comments? Go ahead, Larry.
It might have just said that November 17th is again.
Yeah, there is a date.
But partnership is confident that now provides a letter that they would be able to have you. They also stressed that eco-strategy consultant would not approach municipality very strong success potential of the
And I think that deadline's important because normally this would have gone to our committees and come back here to council, but because of that deadline, that's why we had to put it directly to council. Otherwise, you'll miss that deadline for the funding for the bids to do the study. That's why it's a no cost to us. Okay, go ahead, Deputy Ordinary.
Thank you, Mr. Morton. I'll put on the floor, I so move that we can give a letter of support.
Okay, goes to that. Yeah, goes to the Secretary Chair, I think the last.
Yeah, with the draft.
Letter of support from us to the partnership to go forward with the grant application.
Well, we will be, sorry, just as a clarification, sorry, we would be the primary applicant.
Oh, yeah, we would be
the definition of assigned to municipality, even considering the benefits. Bring this application through the other geographical agreements that I mentioned, we would be the primary. The reason for that is that we are the primary location of source.
I get a seconder for that, right? Oh, okay, I think John, I saw first, I know Deputy did too, but anyway, no surprise here, so. Councillor, I think Councillor,
Yeah. First read it, I thought, like, well, what are we gonna do? Burn a whole lot of this stuff? I'm not a big fan of burning biomass compared to houses. It's not part of the climate change solution that we need. I would love to see, after what happened on the 24th of September, some way of turning poplar trees into some kind of biofuel. We can and do grow enormous numbers of poplar trees that grow quickly. In some parts, many parts of North America, we turn them into building materials. It's called oriented strand board. It's called chipboard. Obviously, its primary material used for boarding homes. It's going for $40–50 a sheet now. We will have billions of tons of poplar rotting in our forests over the next viable market. And it's if the little bit that will be salvaged will be sold at a very low price. I do have a question. I was approached yesterday by an individual who wants to grow hemp. He bought a facility in your district, or Parker, which is going to process this hemp. My question now, he's going to be producing hemp fiber. I said, well, what do you do with that? Well, it goes into concrete, various other building materials to make them lighter and stronger. That can also be used for many other purposes, make paper, you make clothes, et cetera, et cetera. The primary market is already involved in a plant in Alberta, which is producing that fiber. Primary market is right now for building materials. My question is, would that qualify? Would that be a use of a biomass? Trying to get farmers to grow this stuff.
I believe that would be something that could be included in the study. And the reason why, and to your point, the reason why Greater Partnership is really the right group to lead this and not municipal staff is because they believe they know who the local business owners are, local initiatives that would end up with this source of material and potentially benefit from this work. So I think that type of application is something that their kind of partnership would include in their identifying their potential local commercial enterprises that could contribute to and benefit from the program. And if I may, the bioeconomy development opportunity zone, EDO zone initiative is targeted towards a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions through what they call advanced biofuels. So it wouldn't be the same as, at least my understanding is that it wouldn't be the same as some of these applications that we've heard of in the past, the development of these small pellets to basically make up the difference in coal in certain power plants. That there are many different types of applications, and the reduction of greenhouse gases is part of this, and that's why it's included as part of the clean fuel funds. So hopefully that would abate any concerns that this group, climate change advisory committee, would have towards whether or not this is, a boon or a bust or a benefit or a curse to our climate goals as well.
Thank you. Just before I go to Council Palmer, I must say that they did try to grow hemp district and very large fields. They have a lot to learn just until they got that tall. It's not much good unless you get it like corn or something. So there's a lot of practices to be learned in this county before they get the process of that going. Councilor Palmer, go ahead.
I'm not a big fan of. I haven't been perfectly good wood. Is this waste wood that they're talking about, or is it all kinds of different material?
Thank you. This was presented to us as being a waste wood product primarily. So, and it was quoted as being actually, mind you, we've been a couple of years since the mill cook, the potential use of some of that material. So it was presented to us as being primarily waste wood, although I think the other applications such as hemp fiber and similar materials that would factor in the partnership discussion. But yeah, it looks like it.
They burned the wood there at the large area for the power and things like that. At first it was wastewood, but then they're taking all the perfectly good hardwood and everything like that, and just destroying the forest. The other thing that greenhouse gases, so this is going out towards greenhouse gases, but don't the trees contribute to our environment too? We start cutting trees. Does it up your greenhouse gases?
Well, I just answered that a bit from my limited knowledge of forestry, but a lot of that is going to waste straight down on the forest floor because the machinery's coming in to harvest the trees and then they're leaving what they got no market.
Yeah, that's true. If they're taking the waste stuff, if they're taking the perfectly good stuff, box screws.
Yeah, no, we have to be sure that doesn't happen when this comes back.
I'm not against the study. That is something I would not support.
Yeah. Councilor House.
Thank you for bringing this forward, though. I have no problem supporting this. I just a couple comments I would like to make. It's too bad we couldn't do something set something up now. We got an awful mess in our forestry now. And I think I spoke about this up in Halifax. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about devastation in our forest. And I sort of make the quip that to flatten the Point Pleasant Park, everybody would talk about the clean space, but it's in the middle of the province. So we need to find places for this, but that's the use of waste would bring down, or the best return for the woodlot owner is as a pulp. And the economies are there for biomass. That's why they're leaving it on the floor. So, you know, only other thing I would suggest is that we should, as a municipality, take a closer look at what Glasgow's studying right now as well. And that's doing district heating. And there's huge potential there. If you're looking for an economic development lever, that's a huge one right there. I don't have any issues supporting other support.
Okay, go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, if I may just offer a couple of other light as well. Mr. Tebow had included a note to advise this group that the municipality can still retain control of the municipal projects. And the amount of biomass. His example was, you know, if we find that we have 1 million times of it's still put restrictions on it. Or on the developments that say the service not be utilized as a sustainable supply in order to ensure a sustainable supply, in order to ensure that our forests grow to such a carbon neutral that we carbon reducing as reducing. The other point, to the point of New Glasgow's initiative, is that this was stressed, that particular program was stressed that the built-in strength to our application, because within a 100-kilometer zone, it forms a good complementary project to this, which would overall strengthen our application without any effort required by just one benefit of those 2 minutes.
Thank you, Logan, and that is important. I note that somebody mentioned to me that we, you know, we're doing the same thing, but actually the Glasgow is the consumer product and the producer. Now, whether then you get into fuel being burnt and that type of thing versus if you make it into a biofuel, you can still have a central heating system or distribution system and be burning the fuel as opposed to burning the wood itself. So they're not really counterproductive. They're more, like you said, they more fit the hand of the glove. Okay, I think we'll call for the vote on this one. I don't see any more hands. All those in favor? Aye. Against? Carried. Now we'll move on to our reports. First is Hurricane Fiona cleanup. So I'll ask our CAO to lead us on that as to where we're at.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to defer to Evan.
Okay.
Because he's more hands-on with the actual.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much. So we started our collection Friday, October 28th, and the one crew was started on Friday. That one crew continued to work over the last week in District 2. That crew was deployed into District 2 just due to the concentration of materials we saw down there and the private roads and lanes that we had to deal with. So the equipment that they have specific to that crew was good for getting into these really tight spots and shipping a lot of this material. In a lot of cases, hauling that material away, things tight cottage links and things like that. So that crew is in District 2 currently, and they'll remain there probably for quite some time. I suspect over the next few weeks. They're just working their way into the Black Point area now, back down the Marble Road on the Victorine Road. So they've got a lot of work to do. And I know I've been asked a lot about scheduling, and I'd love to provide a really in-depth schedule, but it's very difficult when we can do 5 roads in a day sometimes, and then depending on the materials we find, we could get up to 1 road for that crew in a day. So it's really tough to sort of predict, I guess, where we're going to end up long term, like in a week outlook type of deal.
Here, Jim, can you tell me what's there in terms of machinery?
So we have a chip truck, we have a chipper and a chip truck, so they chip material, put it in the truck, and there's 2 loaders there, both with grapple equipment on them. They're very small loaders to go down these kind of pilot lanes, ways and things like that. And then today we had another crew arrive with a large grinding unit, and that comes with a loader as well as a truck to feed the grinder as it goes down the road. And that is, those grinders are loaded into twin steer dump trucks and they're all the way as well. That crew was deployed in District 3 today. They're currently working on the Three Brooks Road, the Central Caribou area. So that crew will continue through Three Brooks Road, Central Caribou, eventually ending up in Caribou Island, and finally making their way out into River John, into that area. We also had, as of today, a gravel truck come on board. This gravel truck's being deployed in areas where we had a large driving distance with not a whole lot of material that needs to be picked up. So in roads where we may only have 2 or 3 areas to pick up debris, we send this truck out. And we have another gravel truck starting tomorrow doing the same thing. And as the week goes on, we expect to have another 1 or 2 gravel trucks beginning the same process. The only thing I would say is what we're seeing on the ground is once we go by homes, people are bringing more material in once we've already gone by and taken care of the material. That's making things very difficult, just from a time and efficiency perspective, because we're having to go back to these homes. And I don't think that was really in keeping with sort of the spirit that we were hoping for. So we are seeing that a lot, and I would discourage that as much as possible. We're certainly looking to pick up what's at the end of the road and easily accessible, but having to make 2 or 3 trips back, I think is not how we're going to accomplish this task overall. So I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have on cleanup until now.
I think it was made clear at first that we wouldn't be heating over the roads. Is that message getting out there, Survivor, for not being heard, or? I know that was the plan, was that we weren't going to be going over the roads. So when they see it happen, say, oh, they are actually going to take this stuff. I think it's what's happening. I never thought they would anyways. I didn't put it on my note. But I will never get around. It's been a long ways to go yet, and this is going to hit middle of November here, first next week. So how long can we continue to go if we get to put a stone? What's the winter or so? It looks like a long process.
Yeah, so it definitely has been a very long process, especially in District 2. But again, it's really hard to gauge our progress down there because of the amount of material and the amount of these little laneways and things like that. So I think as we see these gravel trucks roll out throughout our county into these, longer drives with lesser material, we're going to see, a large amount of our roads being completed in a quicker period. So District 2 is really not a fair, place to assess our progress. I think they are making some good progress on the ground now currently. It's just, especially in that area, we have a ton of debris that we're.
And the gravel trucks on in their way, did you say, or are they chipping it or just on in the way?
No, so the chipper crew and the grinder crew are the chipping crew is actually going back into the woods in as many places as they can to avoid hauling material. The grinding crew have no choice but to haul, just the way their system is designed. And then the gravel trucks are also hauling the brush. They're all hauling into landfills here.
So it's all going to landfill scrapyard, whether it's brush or whether it's been ground up.
Yeah, everything's being hauled ultimately there, except for obviously that goes back into the woods.
We pay for that space, or they want the material to use?
No, they're quite keen to have that material.
They have the material, so they don't have to pay for space.
Yeah, no,
Okay, I'll open it up. More questions here. Councilor Butler and Councilor Webb.
Yes, a question to Evan. We were told initially that there were going to be 3 large grinders coming from chippers rather, coming from Ontario. Have all 3 of those arrived?
So they believe after we had that conversation, the crew came and they did a bit of assessment of our area. They determined the larger of their three chippers was not going to be effective for the materials that we had. It's more designed for large trees and things like that, more so than the brush that we're seeing. So what they did deploy is the two smaller units that they have with more support equipment, I guess I would say. So the loaders will go down into these laneways and able to go into these driveways and things and actually bring that material back out. So that was just based on that crew's experience and what they thought would be most efficient for us.
Okay. I'm in District 1 and as many other areas, people are putting brush on out by the end of their lane. They're concerned about what's going to happen. Snow comes and these huge piles of brush and trees are there. I guess I'm concerned about the progress that we're making, and I guess also the fact that we're having to repeat certain roads while other parts of the county are left. No answers as to when we'll ever see action in areas.
Yeah, thanks for that. I share the same concerns, especially with the repeating of the locations, but I will reiterate, I think when we start to see more of these gravel trucks deployed out into our areas, I think you're gonna see a quicker uptake in what we're actually collecting. It does seem like a very slow process now, and it generally has been, especially in the district we're working in. But that's not the reality for the rest of our county. It's not nearly as concentrated, at least from what we can see and what we've had reported. So I think as sort of this week progresses, you're going to see quite a bit more progression in our actual cleanup.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First and foremost, everyone, thank you so much for responses. Anytime I have an email or request, I'm able to contact you. I have no idea how much easier that makes my job. Residents might certainly appreciate having this work done for them, and I do appreciate the feedback. Just a couple of items on the second pickup. I think part of that came about in my area because it was a very small turnaround. They only had a few weeks to register, and that's most of them were hoping they wouldn't start in District 2, but I'm glad they did. But in any case, I'm going to explain that to them when they call in, and sometimes I do get you to reiterate that because they're not happy with my answer, so they want to hear it from the person that's already leading the charge. So we are trying to get that message out, but like I said, it's because of the quick turnaround pickup. You are seeing some of those in my area. Second, scheduling. It's not so much to find out where you're going because I understand the process, but just for my example, last week where I was at town for the week, and I know you were down in the beach area when I left, I had no idea where you were. And I was getting all these calls and I had no idea. Just looking for an update, maybe I can night there. Heading back to the store basically in the Harbor Road and then heading down my point. If we just kind of pinpoint where you're at the next day, just to kind of alleviate some of the concerns. It's like Councilor Butler's said, people are really concerned with the kind of we're having great weather and nothing up holds out, but they're really worried about some of the storms. So, but again, thank you for the great job.
Yeah, thank you very much. That shouldn't be an issue for us to do daily updates on where we end up. Okay, that's it.
Councilor Dave Harper.
Thank you, Warden Barker. Thank you for the update. We're a little slow with not smart here. This is our first ever attempt at this. And the effects of the storm are not beautiful. Much greater in some areas. My district, which is largely rural. I certainly did understand it had the ability is found a place out back and let nature take care of it over those years. But I did note the Hammond Road, which is one of the suburban areas that I have, after this was announced, all of a sudden several more pilots appeared on the road. And I'm assuming they register. I hope they register. I hope they will get picked up. But you do need to keep on the message to be patient. If we get a bad snowstorm like that any day, it's going to be messy in some of the snowbanks. No problem. You ask people to put it out there. That one might be on us.
the snowplows have an issue. Some of them, the copper pile would break literally on the shoulder of the road, just inches from the edge of the pavement. No problem. But I thank you. I hope that this progresses quickly and that we get most or all of it that prior to our first business. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Gardner. You definitely would. Just a few questions. How many hours a day do they work?
They've been averaging about 10 hours, between 10 and 11 hours a day.
Who's keeping track of that? You drive that?
Yeah, so I go out, I'm working fairly closely with the crews. I go out with them in the morning and I provide them with taskings for the days and things like that. So I'm made aware of when they start and when they finish for the day.
Okay. What about traffic control? Is there considerable traffic control on these roads? I was down at the Harbor. And on Saturday, they had the Department of Transportation had a vehicle behind. Just, and it was great. It was good because on the straight stretch, you could see the traffic coming. But once you get up around that turn, there's no way to provide traffic control, right? So, and especially when you get into more urban, suburban areas, right? There's a lot more traffic and lots of turns and things like that, so. Is that something that they're going to be looking at?
Yeah, so we've been monitoring that as we went, and I share the same concerns that you do about traffic control. Basically, we've mirrored the promise of safe work practice for what we've been doing, working in one lane, and they've been monitoring that for us. But I will say, as you know, as you said, in our more urban areas and the higher traffic areas, that's certainly a concern. And so I think as this progresses, if we don't look at different traffic control options, we may have to look at what equipment we're sending on these higher traffic areas to minimize the amount of traffic that actually go around and things like that. But certainly, you know, when we get down in the Little Harbor area, into some of these private roads, that seems to have worked fine. And DOT has said that it's working okay in that area, but there were certainly some concerns on Little Harbor Road, and especially today on Sunrise Trail. Get that system in place.
Yes, it's high speed driving. These operations pretty quick. So the other thing is this only for cities, people that have city numbers, or is it for all, like for private, if for just a big lot? Can they put up their stuff too?
Yeah, I think
it's for everybody.
Yeah, it's for everybody that would pay a tax bill to the municipality. So basically what happens is when somebody calls in and registers their Civic, it actually flags the entire road to be picked up. So as the crew goes along, if it's piled along the shoulder and on the ditch or wherever, even if it is in a vacant lot, this crew is making every effort to pick that up as they go.
Okay. So they have the question, and marinas, it seemed District 10, you know, is that marinas that still start the day and everything?
No, that would be ports, phone and recovery that start being District 10.
Okay, so marinas has a pit or a disposal area in behind right there. You've passed a lot of trees, shrubbery and things like that, and they're not doing that this project, are they?
No, everything has been in going to nature's yards, except we did arrange a different dumping location in the Salt Springs area, which is different pit in there just because of the actual distance we went to travel.
Yeah, no, that was concerned with a few residents because we have problems with that in the past. And last question. So we said it's going to be 25 days. Let's say if we hold that 25 days, because you look at the county is a large area. Little Harbor had a lot of material. I looked around my district and there's quite a few in the Thornton area. But like Councilor Nate Carter said, a lot of people took care of their waste since the storm. So, but are we getting a lot of calls like the civics? Have we have a lot of pickups to do? Do you think we can do it in the 25 days or?
I'm optimistic. I would say that we're going to complete the work within that period that we've allotted. Again, I would really like to see the data come back this week when we start getting all the equipment that we had been planning to have, once we get that all deployed. I think this week is gonna be detrimental to figure out what our timelines look like.
And as for council, you get socials and all that stuff, so you're not gonna be able to find it either. So, just unfortunately, the weather's late this today, so. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. I know that you're not able to give us a schedule, but it seems as though you've already prioritized some particular areas in the county, like you prioritized District 2, and it seems like the next priority is District 3. These seem like logical priorities, as they're the ones that have been hardest hit in the county. But are you able to give us some type of schedule in terms of which particular districts your equipment will be going to next? Now, I'm not looking for a schedule. I'm not going to say that, November the 14th, it's going to be in Mount William. Just saying, once you finish with 2 and 3, you're going to go to 9 and then 10. Are you able to, if you're going to get assessments that said, these are the priorities, and this is the one that has the most work that needs to be done, and this one has the least amount of work?
Yeah, not only have we gone out on the ground and saw that, but also our registry shows us a lot of that information in terms of who's calling in and how many civics are actually on the roads that we're picking up for. And so we're right to say that we have prioritized that based on the amount of calls that we've gotten. Basically, once we designate one of the chipping or grinding crews to an area, they're going to be there for a period of time, like usually a week at a time. The gravel trucks are the ones that I could provide updates on every day or every morning to say, here's where these 3 trucks will be allocated for the day, right down to the roads, if that's what you folks would like, because they're given specific roads to do each day as they come in. And so we would be able to provide that information on a day-by-day basis to say, here's where we'll be starting today. And then, same thing for the next morning, here's where we start today and getting it through.
So, are you able to say that once District 2 is done, it's going to go to District 7? What could be, because you said you've done an assessment. So we're able to schedule that way.
So we're not doing.
I don't mean, not even districts, I mean communities, But, and I'm not looking for dates to be put on it, I'm just saying that to prioritize the whole exercise. Is that possible?
Yeah, I would say it certainly is, and I would like to see what we get this week for completion before we start getting into that prioritization and to move farther, because with this equipment, we're not exactly sure what we're going to complete. We need to know, we need to have a goalpost, and we need to set that goalpost somewhere reasonable, I think, before making further assessments. We just haven't been able to do that up to this point.
I have a question on budget. So we didn't get some of the equipment that we thought we were getting here for that ship or whatever, so obviously we are paying for that, and we have more on the figure. Hopefully we're on track, or where are we budget wise? The whole thing, it has to be done anyway, but it's just nice to know.
At this point, we don't see deviating from the budget. And I guess at this point, until we kind of see this first fleet of all crews working, to give us that better sense. But right now, we don't think we are going to deviate. At this point, as we said, when we come with that there, we had no confidence that it was a good budget, and we just come back. So I think this week will be telling for us. We can probably get a better percentage of where we're at. That.
On that same page, it's kind of cost significantly when we can get that bigger tipper than there.
Yeah, I think it had around $900 an hour off our original budget, so it does open up some possibilities.
Okay, is there any further questions on the beyond the cleanup? Y'all like to see it done before the snow flies, you don't know about that, and Not sure where the money comes from yet, but we're trying to stay within that $1 million budget and find some money to help us, the bed to the province. Okay, if there's no more questions on that one, we'll move to a report that Council Boyles set up on his, trip over to PEI on the urban forestry conference. I know he worked hard on this, so we're ready to go.
Yeah, well, and it's in, vacated the Sue as we've been going on, but, she sent out, sort of just a rough recap of her agenda of what we went through, what was said at it. There's, you could fill volumes with all the information that they were given. They just never stop. And people going all the time and telling you stuff. So I think everybody got the email there with some basic stuff on what was said and what's going on and with the Trees Canada and the also the 2 billion trees. Put at the end there were the set with the two people that are really big on 2 billion trees, and they guaranteed us that we want to put in an application that they will make sure their application is true. And they want us, the reason it's 2 billion is because they want to plant 2 billion trees in the next 10 years. And I guess there's all kinds of money, it's a federal program, and there's all kinds of money there. But I guess the application is quite long and it's pretty detailed, but at the same time, they said that they would work with us to get this application done. Something we'd like to try. I brought up at the climate change committee that, we got so many parks that have been flattened and that they're like, you're not gonna have the money to do anything with it. Maybe we can look through this 2 billion trees and see if there's money there. They come in, they do the site analysis, they do the kind of trees that you should be putting in what kind of soils and kinds of stuff like that. But again, if everybody had a chance to go through it, or if you do, and if there's ever any questions or anything, ask me, and I'll try and give you the best answers I can.
Okay, thank you for going over that. For bringing us back that information. Very interesting. Over that. So we're getting near the end of our agenda here, and we're down. So I should ask first, was there any questions for Council Boyles on this? Or I know we kept it short because it's getting late, but yeah, there's a lot of information. Okay, we'll move right along. There's community announcement. Does anybody have any community announcement? Go ahead, Peter, and then.
Just one, I'd like to really our community and I'd like to really again point out that show the signage out there is something else. I mean, like around that rotary night, seeing the poppy and that, it's really nice. It's something. But also, I'm getting a lot of calls from my community, and I mean, this is so hard to say when to bring this stuff up, but about the East Spectre School and the schools there and in the Facebooks coming out with every window broken out of them and being destroyed. Are we going to do something about that, or is it ours?
Ours, but I'll let Brian speak to that. I don't know that. Oh, it is, okay, go ahead, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Boyles. We are aware of the recent additional break-ins on site, including some that happened over the weekend. We are planning to have the site secured by the contractors. We're reaching out to contractors to have the site secured, including all windows and upper and lower floors, and all floors as well, because they have been using, both breaking and have been using ladders to get in. Well, so we heard that we get everything. Yeah. And Brian and I were chatting today. Brian had posted an RFP to tender out to sell the property again. We have had 3 or 4 varying levels of interest. A couple of factors have gone out. One group is toward the site with a similar type of proposal as to what we had thought was a successful proposal last year. So there is interest. We're looking at divesting ourselves of the property and also in the interim in securing the 7.6.
I'm trying to stick to community adjustment, that people will use something in the, go ahead, Council.
Just want to take everybody on a, it's a good news story. Mike Hackenfitch, everybody knows who Mike is. He's the volunteer extraordinaire in Springwood. He was recently, at the recent Nation of Scotia annual conference, he received awards. Even though it's achievement. This award recognizes an individual or community that provides support activities, services that successfully achieve the values and benefits of recreation. He received this award for his work. The recreation park, he's from Valley Recreation Park. Didn't even take into account the work he's done at his local Springwood Church and Community Hall, revitalizing that. So it's quite an honor for him. He received a nice piece of native artwork. Received out there, and he gave a lovely speech. Benefits of what he's Spring group's been doing up there. Wait any day this November, we're expecting that the installation of the so for those to Mike.
For sure. Any other community announcements? Finish with a couple long ways behind the Springwood, that's for sure. But the Salem group, the old Salem Ball Field had their first event. They had a Saturday before Halloween. They had a Halloween day for the young kids up to 12 years old again. So it's a very small group of volunteers, but they're working hard. They've done a lot to fix up the old field, get rid of the fence and dugouts and everything that were a danger, and they have some big plans. So pleased to see them moving ahead. It took quite a while to get a group of families and to get as a society and all that stuff restored because it's been let go for 10 years. So looking forward to more good things there. And the other thing I want to mention, this is November month. So probably growing this thing on, but I'm not looking for any money this time. Usually I'm looking for money, but it's all about awareness for prostate cancer and others. And we still lose far too many people in our county and our province to cancer all the time. People we know, friends and neighbors, family. So figure that's the least I can do and put up the playground. So that's if there's no further community announcements, go ahead.
I just remembered that today, Arlene Greiger received a provincial award. It's streamed online and Cindy Fraser from our water department was able to attend the ceremony stuff. So I have a picture that should be up tomorrow, hopefully, and celebrate Arlene.
We don't pay as much attention to our volunteers as we did pre-COVID because we can't have our celebration night and whatnot. So that's unfortunate, but Arlene's done a great job for a long time in the whole county, really. Okay, any emergency resolutions, unanimous consent required? Seeing none, guess we're not supposed to call for, or go ahead, Councilor Dewar.
It's not an emergency. I didn't think about it again because somebody else might have said. You have to go down a number of ways. 50 county law and in the last week that actually helped pretty well every community in West Pecto and around Pecto. The exhibition That man was Hector McKinsey. He was 102 years old. He was on the school board. He helped get that school built out there. And you're gonna find this hard to say. He was a good liberal and worked hard for Dan Reed in the time I read the obituary and picked that up. But anyway, that was all things Hector did for his community. Hector was married for over 70 years. He died in the veterans wing down here the other day. Anybody that knew him, I'm sure respected Hector because Hector always had some little story to tell you about somebody or something about council or the school board or whatever over the years. And when they're needed a volunteer, when they talk about volunteers, they're Hector always a volunteer.
Thank you for bringing that up, so that I went up to the celebration place they had one on Saturday afternoon. And when I drove just around the corner to where I could see the parking lot at the fire hall, I couldn't believe the number of vehicles that were just packed in like sardines. Thinking they kept large in that parking lot in front of the fire hall. And it was just a crowd full of people, and there wasn't a feeling of sadness and stuff. And you make it hard to a feeling of sadness. It was truly a celebration of life. The vehicles were going, and everybody was in a good mood, and there's family there and everything, and lots of community. I just said to my wife when we were around the corner, what a tribute back to the number of cars there. But I said, let's go all afternoon from 1 to 4. But he was we need more of those in our communities for sure. Those people who step forward every time they need for help. He was a big player in that South Spring school. Going there back in the days of George and Father's chair, George. But Hector and Betty Lewis got the Hector lived with him.
And the other thing about Hector this week, Hector was a veteran.
Yes, very important. Just
always has medals on.
The Peter's uncle, really important for these people that were recognizing them because they become few and fewer. For those of them, there are no. You certainly still have a lot of veterans from the modern wars, but from the World War II, World War I, World War II, they're getting pretty few. And come to the.
So I can mention a couple of them to Hector. He always encouraged everyone he met, no matter what their endeavor was, no matter what their politics was, he encouraged. He brought electricity to many of the homes in Salt Spring, not Tom there. Immense joy, that's right. But he was a fiddler all his whole life. He entertained tens of thousands of people. That's why on Saturday they had filled state. He was a remarkable individual.
I think it's worth putting in the minutes that Chesterfield said there was a good look. That was at least one. Okay, I'll declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
It's one of those things that are.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
December.
The first Monday in December.
Yeah.
Get over here with one of the